Have you ever heard of a massive, sprawling empire that had no kings, no armies, and no magnificent palaces? A civilization so advanced it had indoor plumbing thousands of years before the Romans, yet it left behind no grand monuments to its rulers. It sounds like something out of a utopian novel, but it was real. This was the Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan culture, and it's one of the most fascinating and mysterious chapters in human history. For nearly 2,000 years, this civilization thrived across an area larger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined in what is now Pakistan and northwest India. We're talking about 1 million square kilometers, dotted with over 1,000 cities and settlements. And the most incredible part, archaeologists have found no evidence of warfare. No grand fortifications for defense, no weapons caches, no art depicting battles or glorious conquerors. It seems to have been a truly peaceful empire, so what was their secret? How did they manage to build such a vast, complex society without a king cracking the whip or an army enforcing the rules? That's the mystery we're diving into today. Let's start by walking through the streets of one of their greatest cities, Mohenjo-daro. Forget the winding, chaotic alleys you might imagine in an ancient city. Mohenjo-daro was a masterpiece of urban planning. The streets were laid out in a perfect grid system, running straight from north to south and east to west. It was so precise, you could have given someone directions like go 3 blocks down and take a right. This wasn't accidental, it was planned from the ground up. The houses themselves tell an amazing story. They were built with standardized, baked bricks all the same size, mass-produced in kins. This standardization suggests a high level of social organization and coordination. Most homes were 2 stories high, built around a central courtyard that provided light and air. But here's the kicker. Many of these houses had their own private bathrooms and toilets, connected to a citywide sanitation system. Think about that for a second. We're talking about the Bronze Age, around 2500 BCE, while other great civilizations were still figuring out basic irrigation. The people of the Indus Valley had a sophisticated network of covered drains running beneath their streets. Wastewater from each house flowed into these main drains, which carried it away from the living areas. This is a level of civic engineering and concern for public health that wouldn't be seen again on this scale for thousands of years. It suggests a society that valued cleanliness, order, and the well-being of all its citizens, not just a ruling elite. At the heart of Mohenjo-daro was a raised citadel. But you won't find a palace or a king's tomb here. Instead, you find what's known as the Great Bath. It's a massive, waterproofed public pool constructed with incredible precision. Scholars believe it was likely used for religious or ritual purification ceremonies. Nearby, there's a huge building identified as a granary, a place to store surplus food for the entire city. These public structures, a bath for communal rituals and a granary for communal food security, point towards a society focused on the collective good rather than the glorification of an individual ruler. So, if there were no kings, who was in charge? This is where the theory of a merchant-led society comes in. The Indus Valley Civilization was a hub of trade. They had a uniform system of weights and measures, which is crucial for fair trade. Tiny, exquisitely carved stone seals have been found by the thousands. These seals, often depicting animals like bulls, elephants, and even a unicorn, also feature a script that we, unfortunately, still can't decipher. It's one of the world's great unsolved puzzles. It's believed these seals were used like corporate logos or signatures pressed into clay to mark ownership of goods. We've found Harappan seals as far away as Mesopotamia in modern-day Iraq, proving they were part of a vast international trade network. They traded cotton, timber, and precious stones for metals and other goods. This powerful merchant class might have formed the governing body of the cities, making decisions through councils rather than by the decree of a single monarch. Their power wouldn't have come from swords and spears, but from economic influence and the ability to organize society for mutual prosperity. This idea of an egalitarian or council-led society is supported by the lack of extravagant displays of wealth. While we see beautiful pottery, intricate beadwork, and skilled craftsmanship, there are massive status differences in the way people were buried or in the size of their homes. There are no pyramids stuffed with treasure, no royal tombs that dwarf the graves of commoners. It seems wealth was distributed more evenly, or at least, flaunting it wasn't part of their culture. The focus was on functionality, order, and community. So what happened to this peaceful, prosperous civilization? Around 1900 BCE, it began to decline. The cities were gradually abandoned and the writing system disappeared. For a long time, the prevailing theory was a violent invasion, but remember the lack of military evidence. More recent studies point to a combination of environmental factors. The climate began to change. The monsoon patterns may have shifted, leading to drought and affecting agriculture. The rivers that were the lifeblood of the civilization, like the Gagger-Hakra, may have dried up or changed course. It wasn't a sudden collapse, but a slow unraveling. People likely moved away from the large urban centers in smaller groups, migrating eastward towards more fertile lands. The great, organized system simply couldn't be sustained in the face of such profound environmental change. The memory of this incredible civilization faded, buried under layers of earth for nearly 4,000 years, until its rediscovery in the 1920s. The Indus Valley Civilization challenges our very definition of what a great civilization is. It proves that you don't need giant monuments, god-kings, or conquering armies to build a complex, sophisticated, and successful society. They were masters of urban planning, pioneers of public health, and facilitators of international trade. Their legacy isn't written in grand stone proclamations of kings, but in the quiet, orderly streets of their cities and the remarkable equality they seem to have practiced. They show us that perhaps the greatest monument a civilization can leave behind is the well-being of its people. What do you think? Could a society this large really function without a central ruler? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you enjoyed this exploration of history's great mysteries, please hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures into our shared past. See you next time.